Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Unstoppable podcast. I'm Diana Chen, your host, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Brad Cam, one of the co-founders at Unstoppable Domains, as well as our guest today, Haider Rafique, the Global Chief Marketing Officer at OKCoin. Before I bring Haider in, I have a very exciting and special announcement to make. As of today, Unstoppable Domains is integrated with OKCoin, which means that you can now send and receive cryptocurrency on OKCoin using your Unstoppable domain. I'm very excited for this improvement in UX for users and also very excited to be working with OKCoin. And with that, let's bring on our guest today. Hey, Haider, how's it going?
Hey there. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit more about OKCoin?
So, OKCoin, I think folks who've been in crypto for a while are familiar with the name. The exchange started in 2013. It's one of the earliest exchanges to start in China. Because of regulatory stuff, OKCoin went a little bit on under the radar, and the company started to restructure itself to become a U.S. based exchange. Eventually, I think it established itself as a U.S. based exchange somewhere in 2018, and then went on this path of acquiring licenses to operate in the markets it had intentions of operating in. So it's a new company from its early days. It's nothing like what it used to be in 2013. So it's a fully licensed exchange in the markets it operates in. This allows the exchange to have really strong banking relationships, which allows any one of us to come in and fund our account using our bank accounts or any payment rails that we prefer. And then you have access to high quality assets that you'd want access to on any exchange. That includes some of the top tier assets, but we're also launching new assets quite frequently, especially the last 6 months, from DeFi all the way to this last listing we had last week, which was STX, becoming the first US exchange to offer STX to customers. So that's a bit about OKCoin. We have some unique features on the exchange that make us a little different from some of the other choices customers and retail investors have in the market. One that I think I'm really proud of is the ability for anyone with very little to no knowledge of DeFi to sign up for OKCoin and get access to high yield DeFi protocols, and not in the same level of complexity that existed last fall. This is, you come to OKCoin, you have an account, in a matter of clicks, you can get exposure into these high yield products. And it literally removes all that complexity of going in and out of different exchanges, unknown exchanges, and not knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm just wondering what initially got you excited about blockchain domains for OKCoin users? And maybe, Brad, maybe if you want to jump in here, and for listeners who maybe aren't familiar with blockchain domains or this is their first time tuning in, if you could just explain real quick what blockchain domains are before Haider gets into that.
Sure. And of course, thanks again, Haider, for joining. I know we've known each other for quite a while. It's been a long journey together, so very excited about this. Blockchain domains are like traditional domain names, except for they're not part of the traditional system. They are launched on blockchains. They're stored by users, and you can use them for both payments and for websites. And so, in regards to OKCoin, we'd be talking about payments.
Awesome. Yeah. So Haider, what initially got you excited about blockchain domains for OKCoin users?
This started when I was working at blockchain.com, the wallet company. Ultimately, even at blockchain.com, we were looking at ways in which we could simplify people transacting with crypto, and transacting mainly how two people around the world can send and receive crypto very seamlessly. We know the world today. It's most wallets, most exchanges have these long string addresses. There's like a slew of problems that come with onboarding new customers and exposing them to almost something that looks like a line of code. So when Brad and I sort of went into this rabbit hole of some of the naming protocols that were looking to simplify this user experience. And that's how I met Brad and team. I think this was like 3 years ago. And there were a number of protocols we were exploring. Of course, there was ENS and there were a few others. And Unstoppable was really interesting for a number of reasons. The way they were simplifying the UX, I think, was differentiating compared to some of the other protocols. But I think what Brad and team have done really well is part of the job here is not just simplifying the UX and bringing a really compelling product to market. You ultimately have to tell a story that resonates with people, with the ecosystem providers, and also the end customer. And getting people excited and the industry excited is 50% of the job after shipping the product. And I think Brad and team have done that really phenomenally well. So I think Unstoppable is integrated in more wallets than any other protocol, and we're seeing that success. If we by integrating them, ultimately we're driving interoperability in the market. So we don't believe in a world where people are just going to transact on OKCoin. We want them to transact with their or seamlessly bring crypto in and out of our platform using other exchange accounts or wallet accounts that they have. And I think have Unstoppable's integration makes it just a lot more seamless. So people can basically use this human readable address and be able to transact much more seamlessly and confidently.
This is one of the things that I've really appreciated about your approach is that you keep talking about interoperability and improving the UX. Is like it seems like that's like almost your first goal, and I think that laser focus feels unique, and that's been something that I've gotten from you over the course of months. It's really interesting.
Thanks. I think for me, Brad, as you know, I came in. I'm probably one of the older folks in crypto. So I had spent a lot of time working at Microsoft and other companies. I guess like when you're nearing 40 years old, you're older for the crypto market or the crypto industry. So I take a lot of the best practices that I saw in my past experiences, and I try and bring them into crypto. And there's so much opportunity in crypto, which is why it's such a great place for marketers. It's such a new industry. Marketers, UX folks, designers, I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I think that creates the exciting opportunity. Most of the technologies I see, even when I came into the industry, were designed for crypto natives, people who were engineers or cryptographers or were like really in these deep communities, and for them the complexity was second nature, or is second nature. They can go in and out of DeFi and not even break a sweat. It's pretty easy for them. But the worry I've always had for the crypto industry is we're building all these amazing products, or we're building this amazing infrastructure actually. And if we don't do a great job with UX, with design, with storytelling, with marketing, I worry these consumer fintech companies are going to come in, take all the goodness, and then repackage it and drive that next wave of big adoption, getting the next billion people onboarded on crypto. And you're seeing that already. Look at Cash App, PayPal's now coming in, Revolut supports some crypto assets. So you're seeing Robinhood's done it for a while now. So I think it's something everyone in the crypto industry should think about, that the competition is not just, in fact, I don't think competition is among us. I think the competition is, how do you make sure that the stuff that you built with hard work over the last 10 some years, you're actually able to reap the benefits? And it would be a bummer if we lost that battle because we didn't invest or didn't think it was important to invest in UX, design, marketing, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point. And I know that's something that I've seen you and OKCoin in general preach a lot, is that when your crypto marketing isn't about marketing to crypto natives, like you said, it's about marketing to the masses and non-crypto users at the moment. So what are some of the best ways that you found to communicate what OKCoin does to the masses, as well as just like the overarching goal and purpose of DeFi?
I'll answer that question firstly with talking a little bit about product market fit. So when you're a startup, it's natural. You have, limited amount of resources. You have to prove traction. And it's only natural that you're going to go after the low hanging fruit and efforts that are low cost of acquisition for new users. This is the reason why we've sort of gone into this conveyor belt of only shipping products and writing messaging and innovating for crypto natives, because we know that's the immediate total addressable market. We know if we build products for the crypto natives, they'll come because they'll understand it and we please them and so on and so forth. So I think that symptom has led us in this trap of just creating products and storytelling to crypto natives. And it's almost uncomfortable to say, hey, we're going to actually create a product that is not for the crypto natives. And that's tough because you get this backlash from the crypto community oftentimes if you don't create products according to their expectations. I remember when I was at blockchain, every tweet, every effort that we put out there, the response would be, when SegWit? Well, the reality is like SegWit is not important or even relevant to most of the world. So I think it's examples like that there's a lot of pressure from the existing community to deliver things that they think are important. But there's this much bigger opportunity, and I think there's a balance to be had here. On the OKCoin side, I wish I could tell you we're doing this well. I wish I could tell you we've really cracked it and we know how to target and resonate with crypto curious. What I think we can celebrate is the fact that we are all aligned internally, that this is the opportunity we must go after. We believe in it, and the intention is there. And now, after the intention, you'll start to see some results in terms of how we ship products, how we talk about them, so on and so forth. So I couldn't say that we're great at it today. I think we're at the very start of it. And the example I'd give you on how we're trying to realize this vision is the Earn product. So DeFi, such a big wave last fall. Everyone, any one of our competitors or people in the ecosystem were launching and listing DeFi assets and providing access to these high yield products. What we decided to do was we said, look, we're going to simplify this to the lowest common denominator. We're going to curate the protocols that are most popular, and we're going to put it in one single web experience where people can just come in and within a matter of 3 to 4 clicks, they can deposit into these high yield products and look at their earning activity on the same page. So that was our way of saying, hey, look, let's take this intention and put it to practice. From a messaging and storytelling standpoint, the thing that I think we think about the most is there's this traditional financial market that we're all used to, the banking industry or the stock market, what have you. And most of the rest of the world, the crypto curious or everyone else, they understand that language more than they understand the crypto nomenclature. So we try and find parallels to the traditional market and try and use that language so that it resonates with the investors who are not familiar with crypto. So that's one of the other angles we're using, is try and just sterilize the language and not use any crypto speak. And of course, we get our fair share of backlash from our community, but we're managing it. And I think our eye on the ball is, hey, how do we onboard the people that are now starting to pay attention to Bitcoin and the crypto markets?
Right. You can never please everybody, right? But I think definitely where you are and where OKCoin is, you've got your vision, you want to preach to the masses. And I think you guys are definitely on the right track with that. You hit on a lot of different points there about, why the crypto community right now is maybe a little less inclusive than it can be. And as a crypto curious and not a crypto native myself, I see one of the biggest issues in crypto as being, with the UX. Like the UX in crypto is so bad. And I'm just wondering, do you have any insight as to why that is the case, and what are some solutions to that?
If you look at the first 7 years of crypto development, you look at most of those firms didn't actually even have a product person in there. engineers, front end and back end engineers writing code and shipping product. If you look at the first version of blockchain.info, you'll see what I mean by that. That was an engineering product. It wasn't a product person's product. In fact, when I joined blockchain.com, I think is when they ended up hiring the first product person, and I think that product person lasted about 6 months and left the company. So what I would say is there is this resistance when crypto evolved, or when crypto was being built. It was mainly engineers who were building product, and then as we started to mature and we went through 2017, I think there was this realization that we need product people in here to be more thoughtful on how we create these things. And then there was this this clash of cultures. I think you saw it at a number of different firms, and it's been written about. And then I think that clash fizzled away, and the rehiring started to happen. And if I look across the same organizations, there are now bigger teams like product teams and UX teams and design teams. And so you're seeing a different type of product being shipped the last 2 years than comparatively the years before. And this resistance and this clash between engineering and product, or product and marketing, or marketing and sales, it's everywhere. You can go work at a cloud company and you'll see the same thing in the culture. I saw it at Microsoft. I saw it at other companies I've worked at. So it's not. I think it's more amplified in crypto, but it exists in the rest of the world. What I think engineers in Silicon Valley, oftentimes, for most part, there's some companies that are not that way, and I'll give you some examples. But for most part, the engineering-driven organizations in the Valley, or in the tech industry at large, I think there's a huge opportunity for them to learn from things that they're uncomfortable with, which is marketing. Marketing is a bad word. You walk into a boardroom, as a marketer, you're really going to have to work really hard to get respect. And the only way to get respect, especially in crypto, is like if you become a growth person and you drive numbers, and then they'll pay attention. And the minute you mention brand, you're going to lose the trust you've established. And I think the opportunity for crypto folks is to study marketing, to study consumer marketing the way it was, or it still is. Go see what creative ad agencies are doing on Madison Avenue. There are these legacy ad agencies, Saatchi & Saatchi, BBDO, McCann Erickson. And then there are smaller creative shops of creative directors, copywriters. And they do phenomenal work. I feel like in the Valley, even at Uber, it took them time to go find a creative agency to do storytelling. A lot of it was, in early days, was just growth efforts, just to get that virality and increase in adoption. But there was the character of the brand was missing for most part. So I think the message I can give your audience is go study what consumer brands did. Look at what Merrill Lynch did for a number. There's a lot to learn there. It's not that the landscape is still the same. The media landscape's changed. The ad targeting's changed. Everything has changed the way. And in fact, there's even more noise. It's more important, I think, now for companies to do really sharp storytelling than it was 30, 40 years ago. We really have to fight for attention. And I think that resistance needs to go away. I think people should be open and say, hey, what can I learn from marketing? What can I learn from brand? Can I start a company with a brand in mind from day one? I think there are companies that I could point to that do that really well. Brex is a great example. Brex is a corporate credit card company, startup that started a few years ago. And they're doing phenomenal with storytelling and investing in marketing, and the growth is there to show you what the results are. So I think that's the key insight I would share is there's a lot to learn from storytelling, and I don't think there should be resistance. I think there should be openness. Things that make you uncomfortable, you should go invest your time in. And there's another marketing rule that's aligned to this, which is great marketing often makes you uncomfortable at first glance. And if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, it's probably not great marketing. It's probably just an iteration of your thought, and that doesn't work.
I love that. And Haider, as a content marketer myself, all of this is music to my ears. And as I'm still kind of learning more about how to storytell in this industry, do you have any tips? Like, what would you tell somebody who is new to the crypto world about what crypto is, and like what's that story that you would spin for them to get them interested and excited about crypto?
Oh, this is, that probably is a podcast on its own. I think the most compelling piece that helps get that initial attention is we've known our financial system as this traditional financial system that as it stands today. There's a new alternative financial system being created, one that is web first or internet first. And the second piece I try to tell people when I'm talking about this is anytime you see a wave of phenomenal engineers and talent go towards an industry, you should pay attention to it. So those are the two things I usually use as hooks to talk about crypto with friends and family who become curious. The curiosity also comes and goes in waves. Of course, in 2017, everyone was and their family were talking about crypto, and then it kind of fizzled away, and now it's back again. As a topic of conversation during holidays and so on and so forth. I still have friends still text me. They'll say, "Hey, I bought $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. It's now 9,000." It's there are these waves. I think what's important from a storytelling standpoint is how can we in the crypto industry build responsible investing and trading behaviors for people who are coming in so they don't burn out. There's this, I think the best way to bring new people in is through Bitcoin, not through another asset, Bitcoin or Ethereum. And showing them how to dollar cost average over a period of time. So if you have $10,000 to invest, not advising them to not put in 10K right out of the gate. Open a position. Maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000. And as price goes up and down, you dollar cost average your position over a period of time. And that helps you control sort of how much risk you're being exposed to from a pricing standpoint. So I think some of those fundamentals are really important, but ultimately, how can we help people understand that you should have your portfolio, 80% of your portfolio allocated in what we can call lower risk crypto assets. I would consider Bitcoin and Ethereum lower risk assets, and put 80% of your allocation there, and then have 10 to 20% that you want to play with to explore other cryptos. But just know that there is high risk, like high risk, high reward, but these things go up and down and there's a lot of market volatility. So that's how I try and talk to, at least, just in very human speak with my friends and family.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful.
How about you? How do you guys talk about this?
Well, I mean, I think there's this problem around simplification, and so we're mostly just trying to think like, what would if you have a task, like I want to do X, I want to whatever your task is in crypto, that the crypto parts that would otherwise not make sense to you probably shouldn't be there. So if there's going to be some crazy transaction hashes that are not necessary for doing the thing, they might be necessary for verifying the thing, but not necessary for doing the thing, you would hide it. Or if there's a click that you can remove, it should be removed. The thing doesn't need to be called the thing that the blockchain would call it. It can be called the thing that the user would call it. So it's mostly about labeling, and I think you're framing around like going and looking at traditional industry consumer marketing is good, because this stuff is really good elsewhere. So I think the crypto community is kind of uniquely immature in this, and I don't blame us. I think this new industry, new baseline, but it's the problem. I think for new customers, and it's also for new crypto customers and new crypto people coming into crypto, but it's also the opportunity. So um, just reduce the clicks, change the labels to things that make sense to people, hide all the transaction hashes and the other crazy crypto stuff, things like that.
I agree. I think let's just think about the traditional banking rails. How many of consumers actually know anything beyond wire and Swift codes?
Hmm.
Most people don't know all the back stuff, and they don't really care. Don't really care. They frankly don't even care about ACH and wire and Swift. They just want to be able to send money and receive money and pay very low to no fees and faster settlement. So I think there's a lot to learn from the traditional banking industry. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so, for maybe any listeners that are listening to this and starting to get curious about crypto and they want to get into this space, are there any other barriers to entry for the quote unquote normal users or the crypto curious instead of the crypto natives to start getting into this space?
I think the barrier really is education. I think we're all doing a great, putting in a lot of effort in education. If you look across, most of the major crypto platforms, everyone now has sort of a content or educational portal. I think that's the biggest barrier to entry is can we continue to simplify our education and seed it in the right places? Oftentimes a consumer might not go to your blog or your educational portal. They want the information right when they're in the flow of completing a task. I think that's the biggest barrier to entry is how can we continue to serve this information, simplify it, but do it at the right place at the right time, so that it builds more confidence, and ultimately it's a net positive experience for the newcomer. Because what we don't want is a lot of people coming in and then losing their shirt because they didn't know the principles and the foundations that they needed to know to build their portfolio smartly. So I think that is what I would consider the biggest pain point. The other is once you've onboarded, of course, a great example is the send and receive function we were talking about, and what Unstoppable is doing really well. Um, Imagine if you have to send some crypto to your mom or to one of your family members who are elderly, and you have to explain to them that they have to go into their crypto app and then copy this long string of code. You can imagine there could be easily a copy paste error, or trying to teach them how to copy a QR code and then put it in a QR field. I mean, there's just so much that could go wrong there. So I think those are some of the barriers to entry after people have onboarded. Is how do you extract the utility out of these experiences? And I think that's where Unstoppable comes in. Um, Being able to send to Brad.crypto is the easiest thing I would do, or I'll be able to do in terms of transacting with Brad. Right, I'll never forget that. So I think that's those are the 2 points I think are the biggest barrier to entries.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly what makes me so excited about our integration with OKCoin is that users will now be able to type in Brad.crypto or Haider.crypto and send money that way instead of this long string of letters and numbers that can easily get copied wrong or typed wrong or whatever the case. So, Haider, I know another thing that you've talked about before is how partnerships are so hard to form in the crypto space. I'd love some insight that you have into why that might be the case.
Partnerships are hard because there's this sentiment in most engineering driven organizations that you want to build internally. Anything new, the sentiment typically is, hey, we can build this ourselves. And most of the time, yes, we can build it ourselves, but there are other competing priorities. So what happens is your innovation pipeline just gets slower and slower and slower over a period of time because you don't have enough engineering and product resources. So there's this one resistant point, which is your engineering teams or head of engineering or CTO or what have you. They'll say, "Hey, look, we like what this is, but I think we want to build it internally," and that just conversation fizzles away. It never gets built internally, or that innovation doesn't come to the platform. So I think that's one reason why partnerships that require integrations are typically tough. The second is um, there's this sort of security is really important to everyone in crypto. So oftentimes when you're working with a third party or a partner, um, the vetting is usually, hey, is this secure enough? Are we exposing our users to some level of risk? So I think that's another resistance point that makes partnerships tougher in organizations. And I think the third thing is just consensus. I think that's not just a crypto thing. I think it's if you work at PayPal or you work at any traditional fintech company, you'll see this is, there are different groups. Every group has their own agenda and their own motivations. And oftentimes when you're anything above 100 people, it's so tough to build consensus. It's the easiest thing to do it is when you're a small team and you can just influence change. Anytime you then have a bigger team, then you have to convince like 5, 6 different people. And even if you got them convinced, they have their own priorities. And then you got to make sure that it fits their priorities and it benefits their goals. So those are the 3 things that I think make partnerships really, really tough. At OKCoin, we have a culture of, complete permission. It's one of the reasons why I came to OKCoin was the culture. So there is a lot of appetite for experimentation. And we understand that there is value in building products internally. And when we can do that and we can achieve it, we go do it. But we're also very realistic that there might be a product, say a naming protocol, that we could build internally, but to manage it and to continue to innovate on it is almost impossible unless we really invested a lot of time and money in it. So I think that's how we think about our decisions. Is a great example is the earned product. We knew we could do that internally. We could do it fast, so we did it ourselves. In the case of Unstoppable Domains, it's clear that's a product on its own. Unstoppable has been working on this problem for a number of years. It's going to take us a long time to build something like that internally, and then we have to have resources to manage the development of that product over a period of time. So oftentimes, I think what's a better equation is you go find a trusted partner and a team that you can rely on, and there's a solid relationship, and the intentions align, and then you expose your customers to that innovation, and see the feedback, and that allows. My advice for any big company, crypto company, is you rather go with that model, because if your intention long term is to still build it internally, that's a better path, because you at least prove out if there's actual demand for that experience. And if there is, then you can think about, hey, does it make sense for us to invest in this or not? And a lot of companies do that. I recall there was a time where a lot of wallets were using third parties to do crypto to crypto conversions. And then eventually, when that became really popular, most of the companies started to build their own stuff and got rid of a bunch of companies like Coinify, Shapeshift, what have you. So I think that model tends to work out better, because you're able to delight people much faster than that long engineering cycle that you fall in the risk.
Yeah,
of.
I think that's really good advice. And to sort of wrap up here, tell people a little bit about some of the exciting launches, initiatives, partnerships, integrations that OKCoin came out with last year in 2020, and also what you guys have in store for this upcoming year.
I think the most exciting thing we launched that's exciting for the customers ultimately is the earn feature. You now don't just have to trade crypto. You can trade crypto on OKCoin. You can build your portfolio on OKCoin. So if you look a year back, we were a very traditional exchange. You come in, you have the exchange environment, you have trading view, you can do charting, you have 7 different types of order types. It was really a product designed for traders. And in the last 8 to 9 months, what we started to do was build a section in our product that allows people to manage and build a portfolio over a period of time. So you can now look at your assets, do allocations, do dollar cost averaging, do recurring buys, so on and so forth. And it's a nice, easy view where you can just look at all the assets in your portfolio and their growth and manage their growth. So now on OKCoin, you can go from being a retail investor, just looking to build a portfolio responsibly over a period of time, to then switching and saying, I'm ready to be a trader and I want to leverage all these different levers you have for me to profit from trading. So that seamless sort of switch is fairly unique to us. And then, of course, the third feature is earn. So if you have a portfolio, it doesn't just have to sit there. Of course, the price of cryptos will if it continues to go up, that's great. But we now have this earn feature where you could put your crypto to work for you by being exposed to all these DeFi high yield products. And it's not, our earn feature actually is unique because it has these DeFi protocols, but with STX is the first asset where you can stake or stack STX and earn Bitcoin as a reward, which is really unique. So I think you're going to start to see more and more diversity of assets on the earn side. What we're looking forward to, and I'll spill the beans here, I'll probably get in trouble for this, is we are building a pretty robust marketing function. We have had more than 10x growth in our customers in the last 6 months. So our marketing machine is working really, really well. But we don't want to just preach about the storytelling thing and not do it ourselves. So what you can expect from OKCoin is a completely new outfit. We're going to look and feel very different in a few months. For marketers, this is called a rebrand exercise. So we're going to rebrand OKCoin. We're not changing the name here. We're just going to change the way it looks, and we're going to modernize the look and feel of the company so that when you come into OKCoin, you have that sense of delight. We all love beautiful experiences, and that's the thing that we're most excited about, is bringing that rebranded experience to OKCoin, so it looks nothing like any other crypto platform or any other crypto company. That's the part that I'm particularly really excited about.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see what it looks like, and thank you for the Unstoppable exclusive on the upcoming changes to OKCoin. Really appreciate that. So in this next segment, what I want to do, Haider, is I have gone through your Twitter account and dug up some old tweets that I find to be interesting. And I would just like to talk to you about it, let you explain what you meant by it. Before we do that, Brad, did you have any other questions for Haider?
No, I'm excited to see this.
All right. So here we go. This first tweet, actually, Haider, you've sort of touched upon already, but back on December 17th, 2020, you tweeted, "Trade with care, folks. Don't let the FOMO get the best of you. While there is a lot more upside we all see on the valuation of Bitcoin, anyone buying at these levels should anticipate holding and riding the volatility. If you are new to crypto, start with a small position first." So just to jog our memory, was there something that happened back on December 17th that led you to tweet this?
I think it was really the dramatic price run up. Anything that runs up that fast, my advice to all investors is, just be cautious. I was still buying at that level, but I wasn't placing really large orders. So that's I think I was personally just channeling what I was telling myself, which is, hey, don't ride the FOMO wave. There's still opportunity to dollar cost average at these levels, and that was a great call, because from December 17th, I think the price, I think it was like above 20,000, and now we're almost close to double that, right? So it's really just reminding people, don't just FOMO, be very careful. There's a smarter way to think about this, which is dollar cost average. Don't put all of it at once and try and ride the wave, because it can go in either direction.
Got it. Great advice. Thank you. All right, next tweet. On November 14th, so we're going backwards chronologically. On November 14th, 2020, you tweeted, On one hand, it is great to see Cash App and PayPal support Bitcoin purchases. It helps scale the overall adoption of crypto among newcomers. What's hard to watch is the gargantuan amounts of fees, 2% average, they are charging customers. There are better options, people. All right, so tell the people what the better options are.
Look, this is not about just working at OKCoin. We do have some of the lowest fees in the industry. It's that I see those companies really really being opportunistic. They have the consumer trust. So naturally, they're going to see a huge wave of adoption through their apps, and I think 2% is, I think if you look at some of the ecosystem providers, there's a lot of room for you to profit while also making it cheaper for people to transact and to purchase crypto. So I find that I think at the scale at which Cash App is and PayPal currently is, I think they have a lot more room to give back to the users and lower their fees.
Got it. All right, next tweet. Now we're going all the way back. August 13th, 2020. You said, consensus kills creativity. Execute methodically and strategically. Otherwise, you'll end up with mediocrity every time. Want to just talk more about that?
I think consensus does kill creativity. It's important to get people's feedback, but I think there should only be 2 to 3 people or max 2 people making a decision. People who are ultimately accountable for that project or that initiative or what have you. Because when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, you end up with a soup. So I think it's really important that consensus is only leveraged as a means to gather feedback and make sure that you've checked all the boxes. And if there's any valid feedback, that's your opportunity to address it. But it shouldn't be a mechanism to essentially shape the final outcome. Because if you start incorporating all the feedback, 2 things will happen. You'll never get to the ship date, and like I said, it'll just be a brand soup. It'll be super feature heavy, and oftentimes the most simple things are the ones that succeed.
For sure. I love it. It's, what's that saying? Paralysis by analysis. It's like if you overthink it too much, overanalyze it too much, then you're just paralyzed. You'll never get anything done, right?
There's this great example I've given in other podcasts about Merrill Lynch. It's not so much about consensus, it's about data. So we're all very data driven. We have to be. But there's pros and cons to that. I think the way I try and manage our efforts at OKCoin is 80% of the thinking should be data, 20% should be intuition and emotion. And I want to give you this example that I've given before, is the Merrill Lynch example. So Merrill Lynch was struggling back in 60s, 70s after the Great Depression. They weren't able to convince enough Americans to go invest in the stock market. So they were trying a bunch of different research. They were doing focus groups, so on and so forth, and putting out a bunch of different campaigns in the market, and nothing was working for them. Nothing was moving the needle for them. And then someone in their staff, a junior staffer, basically left a line scribbled up on a piece of paper for the advertising manager for Merrill Lynch. And the line was, "We are bullish on America." There was no research behind that line. There was no data. There was no testing. And the marketing team at Merrill Lynch decided to run that line. And it was so successful that it ultimately became their flagship line. I think a version of that is still being used by Merrill Lynch. So it just shows you that as a marketer, you should look at data, but don't just look at data. You have to also you also have to be able to do some storytelling and emotional storytelling. A great example is Nike and Colin Kaepernick, or Nike in general. Nike doesn't really talk about their shoes. They talk about the culture. And that's what makes them such a successful brand. And I think I'd like to see that type of work in crypto, is how can we not talk about our products? How can we talk about the change? And we do it really, really well and in a way that inspires the rest of the world.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's our goal here at Unstoppable Domains as well, is to make that happen. All right, last tweet, Haider, that I want to pull up, and this is from August 15th, 2020. I think the timestamp is important. This was in the summer, but you tweeted, productivity or even mental health hack, take cold showers 2 to 3 times a day. Do you actually do this?
I stopped doing it. It's a good reminder. I should be doing it. It's harder to do in the winter. It's easier to do it in the summer. It's really helped me. The cold shower thing really helped me. Who likes to wake up early in the morning? I've been working pretty crazy hours. We have teams in Hong Kong and Beijing. So what I found uh, really helped me sort of get my brain going without just hammering away coffee all day was just throwing myself under a cold shower, and it would wake me up. My happiness level would also be more better in those days. So this is something to do with the cold shower. It just wakes you up, it gets you energetic, and you feel a little more euphoric than otherwise. I think the hot shower just makes you super complacent and lazy in a way.
All right. Well, I'll take your word for it. Maybe I'll give it a try once it gets warmer here. I'm based in Chicago, so I can't even think about taking a cold shower right now. It's like 20 degrees outside. Well, thanks so much, Haider, for being here. Before you go, tell people where they can find you, get in touch with you if they want to connect with you personally, and also where they can learn more about OKCoin.
So to learn about OKCoin it's very simple, okcoin.com. Once you come in and sign up for OKCoin, we have some great onboarding that we have in place that helps you as a newcomer to be educated on the right things, so you're avoiding reckless decisions. Or if you're a crypto native, we will onboard you very quickly and get you to the more important things. So the best place to learn about OKCoin is okcoin.com. And then you can find me on Twitter. I try to be active on Twitter, and my handle is Haider SF, Haider SF.
Awesome. We will include that in our show notes so it's easy for people to find. And clearly, you've got some pretty good Twitter content. So everybody go follow Haider on Twitter. Go check out OKCoin. Go sign up there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Haider, again for being here. Thanks to my co-host, Brad, for being here. And we will be back again soon with another episode of the Unstoppable podcast.